This is a U.S.-China media brief produced by the UCLA Asian American Studies Center.
I'm going to read you here a Shunko Liu from the point of view of a prostitute, an honest prostitute. First, I don't pilfer. Second, I don't rob. I only embrace communists. That's my job. But so far, with the blogs and the Shunko Liu and the anti-corruption novels, I'm talking about negative portrayals, negative examples from which we can infer upholding of positive values. I want to go on and just give a few examples of positive examples. I don't know if some of you, of course, the literature students in the audience have read Yu Hua's novel, Xiong Di. A novel that, in a way, goes out of its way in pursuit of spectacular weirdness, peering under an outhouse floor in order to peek at and compare the bottoms of defecators, cutting off legs of a corpse and folding them in order to get it inside a less expensive coffin, committing suicide by pounding a nail into one's own head, women lining up to get hymen replacement operations so that they can re-enter beauty contests for virgins and so on. I don't like this novel very much. You don't have to be squeamish or old-fashioned, I think, to find it disgusting in a fairly insipid way. But for that very reason, the positive characters stand out. There's Song Fanping and his son Song Gang, who are honest, responsible, straightforward, not weird, not heroic, shy, almost bland. And yet there's a way in which they draw powerful sympathy and identification from the reader. At least that's the way I read this novel. I don't think you can read it and not sympathize or identify with those characters. I find it even more clear in an example. This is from, I think this was about 6 years ago. There was a television series called 士兵突击, soldier scouts, you might call it, about. And here the protagonist, a man named Xu Sanduo, whose great virtue is his ordinariness, almost his blandness. He's from the countryside. He makes mistakes. He's dull-witted, almost excessively dull-witted, almost a shazi, naive-looking, no girlfriends, no romance. There's no women in the whole story. All 50 versions of the TV series have no female characters. And yet, he's honest. He's authentic. He sticks with his principles. He persists. I'll read you some lines from him. I don't play mahjong. Mahjong means nothing. From this. Now, it's interesting to me that he's not just a bland character. He's a hero. He is, I think, one of the main reasons why this TV show was popular. He says, people shouldn't get too comfortable. Too much comfort leads to problems. Glory is being ordinary. Strength is how persistent you are. You can't nail down exactly why, but these show like this is popular. But it seems to me, and I wonder if others of you who've seen this series agree with me, that the character of Xu Sanduo, even though he's bland and not exciting, not handsome, all of these things, is very attractive and shows, I think, this thirst in a popular viewership in China for that kind of straightforward honesty. Let me give one more example of this, and then I'll be finished. This is from a novel in 2006 by Hu Fayun called ruyan@sars.com, which made a big splash on the internet and then was banned and then was published overseas. I think published overseas. Anyway, the title character is another one of these ordinary people who appears very heroic. Ru Yan is a botanist, a middle-aged widow who has a college-aged son, who goes off to France to study, and she's alone. And she discovers the internet and writes essays on the internet, and she feels very liberated by being able to make friends on the internet. And her essays are good enough that she gets noticed by a friend and introduced to a man who also is a widower, but happens to be the deputy mayor of the city, very high-ranking. And so she, through courting with this man, gets to see his life, and he's a good person fundamentally, but then she gets to see the corrupt side of Chinese official life firsthand, and so on. She also meets people on the internet who help her do retrospection on the Mao era. I really recommend this novel. It's the most honest portrayal of looking back now at the Chinese Revolution from 49 on of anything that I've seen. But anyway, I'm wandering. My point is about this female protagonist, Hu Yan. It's hard to call her outstanding. She dresses plainly, decorates her apartment modestly, but in good taste. She writes essays that are in a subdued style, but very literate and with feeling that gets through to people. Yet somehow her low-key approach to life is powerfully attractive. Not only to other characters in the novel, but to judge from comments about the novel that were posted on the web in the months after the novel appeared, popular among readers as well, attractive to readers. So for a while there was an outburst of excitement on the Chinese internet about this character, Hu Yan, and my question of why that is at the heart of my speculation that there's this thirst for ordinary, honest, straightforward values. She's honest, straightforward, doesn't play language games, makes judgments in daily life that an ordinary, morally responsible person would make. And that's all there is about her, and yet she's very attractive. Yu Yingshi, the famous historian of China, has expressed the view that the collapse of ethical norms in daily Chinese life, a collapse that's resulted from the 1-2 punch of Maoist violence plus post-Mao exaltation of materialism, may last for 2 generations before a full recovery is possible. Wang Lixiong, the well-known Chinese writer and author of Yellow Peril and advocate of the Tibetan cause, commented just a few days ago that in his view that collapse is already final, and there's no point in trying to do a resuscitation. And therefore China's best bet for the future is to build a system that takes material self-interest as the sole motivating force and try to bring about some kind of justice and fairness on that basis. I have great respect for Wang Lixiong's intellect and powers of observation, but on this point, I'm not quite as pessimistic as he is. I think that there are definitely signs of recovery of this kind of popular daily life quest for values in Chinese culture if you look for them. I'll stop here and welcome your questions or objections. Hi, Michael. Do you notice you come in?
The preceding copyrighted program is a property of the University of California, Los Angeles. All rights reserved. It may be used freely for educational and not-for-profit activities. For other uses or to make an inquiry, please contact the Asian American Studies Center at UCLA.